time to tune in. Now another Sports Center, it's a movement.
There it is. Does Von Miller complete the Los Angeles Rams? Take it away.
Complete the Rams? No, he doesn't complete the Rams. Does he definitely add to them? 100%, right? He's going to provide something off the edge that we didn't really have outside of Leonard Floyd. And you think about this, right? You have Aaron Donald, who's eating 2 to 3 blocks per play, per snap, right? You saw what Leonard Floyd was able to do this weekend against the Texans. Now, granted, it's the Texans and stuff like that, but we've seen Leonard Floyd get off earlier this year, right? And he's currently leading the team in sacks, I think, at 6.5, right? So he's having a pretty good season. He also set career highs for himself last year playing alongside Aaron Donald. There's another player that I don't think you guys remember because he's kind of faded into anonymity ever since he left Los Angeles, but his name is Dante Fowler, who put up career stats for himself and got a paycheck out of playing next to Aaron Donald. Now, you think about you putting Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller. Mm-hmm. You cannot block all 3 of those guys. No. You have trouble blocking one of them by yourself. You've got Jalen Ramsey on the back end, and, you know, we've got Robert Rochelle out there that's developing. Dante Dion made a great interception that got called back for some crazy stuff. I think we do have some players with Taylor Rapp, Jordan Fuller, Terrell Burgess back there. And Ernest Jones made a heck of a debut. If that's any indication of how he's going to play moving forward, I think the Rams are moving in the right direction. I think what would complete the Rams, right, is we do need a bookend cornerback for Jalen. I think that is the missing piece for the Rams. I think we have this pass rush, which is another piece. But I think another piece is like if we could go get somebody like a Darius Slay, right? Mm-hmm. I think Darius Slay playing opposite Jalen would be just a nightmare for these teams because you're going to have this very aggressive pass rush that is not going to allow these receivers to get down the field and have plays develop. And then even then, you're going to have, you know, Jalen that's roaming the field, Darius Slay that's roaming the field, and some pretty good safeties back there that are covering. It's really going to frustrate quarterbacks. But is this absolutely pushing them towards being more of a Super Bowl contender this year? Yes. And as a Rams fan, I love it. I don't think I've ever been happier to live in Broncos country than I am today. Because I'm just thriving off the misery of a lot of fans, like my brother Mike here. I know he said he called me as soon as it went down, and man, I was eating it up like good food. I haven't even eaten a meal. I haven't eaten breakfast. I haven't eaten lunch today because I've been so full from this transaction, man. Like Les Snead and the Rams continue to be very shrewd operators. And Mike and I kind of talked about this offline, right? The Rams are doing business very, very unconventionally. Right. And you saw it in our kind of text message thread, you know, everybody's been saying for the longest time. And I remember it from the time that we drafted Jared Goff, we went and gave up the 2 first-round picks to move up and get Jared Goff. They're like, oh, well, this is going to come back to bite the Rams in the butt. They're not going to have cap. They're not going to have a future. This is, you know, their window is going to be very, very small. Right. So let's just kind of go through that. We traded first-round picks to draft Jared Goff. Then we paid Todd Gurley. Then we decided we don't need Todd Gurley. We paid Brandon Cooks. Decided we don't need Brandon Cooks. Got rid of both of those players, ate their cap. Okay. Then we paid Aaron Donald, made him the highest paid defensive player at the time, right? They said, oh, we're not gonna have money to pay anybody else. This team is gonna be done, whatever, right? We went and got Aqib Talib, gave him a nice little contract, gave Ndamukong Suh a nice little contract, and we were supposed to fall apart. Playoff appearance, Super Bowl appearance, then above 500, we were 1 game out of it. Under the current format, we would have been back in the playoffs that year. But so we shed all that, a bunch of dead cap space. Then we got rid of our quarterback. No, even before we got rid of our quarterback, we extended Andrew Whitworth, extended Leonard Floyd, extended Robert Woods, extended Cooper Kupp. Didn't have any of that money. We traded away 2 draft picks to go get Jalen Ramsey. And we weren't going to have money to pay him. Paid him. He's signed up for 5 more years with us. Highest paid corner in the league. Yeah. And then we traded away, 2-3 picks to get Matthew Stafford and 8 some cap for Jared Goff. And this is, 4 or 5 years running. People saying, oh, well, the Rams clock is running out. We just traded, 2 more picks, a second and a third to get Vaughn. We're running out. You have to show me the evidence for when. When is it supposed to happen? And like I was talking with Mike earlier, I said eventually for every team, I don't care how good you are at doing business, I don't care how good, eventually the bill comes due for everybody. We've never seen it in the history of sports where a team just got good and they just stayed good forever. Like it doesn't even happen, right? Mm-hmm. And you think about, even outside of football, you think about some of the best dynasties, best franchises in the history of sports. You know, the Yankees' incredible run, even the Dallas Cowboys through the 90s. We're talking Chicago Bulls, right, through the Jordan years. Right. Yeah. Eventually the bill comes due. And it doesn't matter if you've made the right moves or the wrong moves. And everybody keeps saying that the Rams are, they're living dangerously. But they're living dangerously with success. Yeah. And it's not like, oh, they're just flying by the seat of their pants. They can't be, because they've had sustained success for so long. They have the right people in the front office. They have the right person coaching the team. They have the right kind of people on the team. They're getting success. Do they have the Super Bowl ring? No, they won't. But like, how many teams have a Super Bowl ring? You know what I mean? Like in the last 10 years.
It's nice to see a back office all be on the same page. You look, we talked about Miami earlier in the episode and the civil war that's going on there. And then you have a team like the Los Angeles Rams who has their crap together. And Adrian, I really love how you broke that down, because there's a narrative out there. I'm pretty sure you know what it is, that they don't like their draft picks. They don't want to build for the future, but you guys keep finding a way, and you keep finding a way. And you mentioned like how it's been the last 5 years. You guys had a Super Bowl appearance, you know what I mean? And traded quarterbacks. I mean, oh my gosh, some franchises would take 5 years just to recuperate from that, yet alone be in a relevant conversation. So no, that's awesome.
Well, I got one thing. I got one thing on this, y'all, is like Les Need is doing this GMing thing like he's playing Madden, except for the clear cat button. I think he might have that under his desk somewhere, but he's absolutely. I mean, but think about this, right? If we think about what Soup just said, right? You got Leonard Floyd, you got the best defensive player in football, Aaron Donald, in the middle, and then you got Von Miller, who came back this year and has been rated a top 6, top 7 pass rusher this year, right? So you cannot. That's the best pass rush, right? They have the best offense. You have the best corner, unquestionably, right? You got Jalen Ramsey. You got Aaron Donald, you got Leonard Floyd, you got Von Miller. So to answer the question, yes, I believe he does, because what pass rush does is give your corners less time that they have to cover. So Rochelle is developing. I think he's going to be a dog in the future. Absolutely. And I think they have to turn players like that, the young players they do have, into dogs in the future. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely think that they have to be the Super Bowl favorite now, right? And me and Soup did talk about this. Like, if they don't win the Super Bowl, eventually, in this time, Aaron Donald's prime, Von Miller, until end of his career, he's kind of taken on the DeMarcus Ware role when he was in Denver, and Jalen Ramsey's prime. Like, if they don't win a Super Bowl, then we'll go back and look and say, hey, this is all for naught. But they have been winning, right? So if that doesn't translate to playoff success, and realistically, Von Miller's had more playoff success than any person they have on their roster. He's a Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl champion, right? So I feel like that is something that locker room absolutely could use. And I just would not want to be the Colts, because Thursday, Von's going to play his ankle. I think he could have went this weekend. The chatter was that this trade was being talked about a week ago, and they pulled the trigger, today. But I think he probably could have went yesterday, realistically, because I saw him dancing on his Halloween party yesterday. So if you could be dancing in a costume, you could probably push off except for Jameis, because that man that's a little different. But I feel like the Titans they're gonna prove a point. I think the Titans are gonna have a tough time scoring 10 points, and Von Miller's probably gonna come in there and get a sack his first game. But they're definitely loading up. As the team now, like, who do you think could beat them in the playoffs? I can't think of one team.
Yeah, I mean, the argument that we're hearing right now, right, is going to be the Arizona Cardinals that are going to be our downfall. And to that, I say we'll see. Like we talked about it episodes ago, right? I got to give the Cardinals their flowers. They're playing good ball, right? Murray's playing outside of his mind. He's doing miraculous stuff. They've got a host of talented people there, but them losing JJ Watt was quietly one of their best, pass rushers that they had. Big locker room guy. Mm-hmm. So he's done. He shut him down for the rest of the season. Kyler Murray, even though he's not officially on the injury report, you look at him, he is starting to take those hits. He's getting banged up, and it's about to get colder. It's about to get longer into the season. He's going to take some more hits and stuff like that. Is his style of play, right? Which is evade the rush until the play breaks down and one of your guys can get open. Is that style of play going to last? I mean, I do think that there are some teams that are going to just give them problems. I think even as much as I hate the Dallas Cowboys, I think the Dallas Cowboys present an interesting problem for them because they have a very aggressive pass rush with Randy Gregory, Micah Parsons flying all over the place, Tank Lawrence out there as well, right? They have Trayvon Diggs, who is just an interception machine right there. And we talked about, for every interception he gets cooked, but it doesn't matter. He takes the ball away, right? Yeah. Dak is playing some of the best ball of his life. Zeke seems to have found a second win. Tony Pollard's doing well, and this is with them reconstructing the line. So I do think that they present an interesting matchup for them. AFC-wise, right, I think the Bills are another team. It's a very stout defense. You have another mobile quarterback that can move around, that has a big cannon of an arm. He's worked on his accuracy. Stephon Diggs, nobody has proven that they can really cover him this season. And they're finding different ways to win. They're not just solely relying on his arm. So I do think there are a few teams in this league that can present an issue for them. But I do think as it stands right now today, and we got to see what Vaughn does on the field, right? Because we know his accolades, but we got to actually see how he meshes with the team and how he actually shows up. And, hopefully he'll stay healthy. I don't think it's going to be that issue with him, but hopefully he stays healthy. I think the Rams are in the driver's seat, but there are still so many things. As good as this roster is on paper, right? Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford has shown in the last few weeks, he still hasn't made it all the way through the playbook. This team is still a team that's getting used to each other. And I think what you're seeing with them is kind of what we saw with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers last year, right? Like, we saw the potential, we saw the names, the talent is obviously there, but they just couldn't put everything together simultaneously. Like, the offense would have a really good game and the defense would have a really good game, but we couldn't put up a complete game together. This last Sunday against the Texans, granted, it was against the Texans, is one of the first times this season where we've seen this offense get off to a hot start and the defense complement them as well. Yeah. Now that you can say whatever you want to say about the fourth quarter, but they pulled the first string completely out the game and it was second string playing. So, if David Culley and the Texans want to celebrate what they did in the fourth quarter, more power to them. If they can put that against a quality opponent, which I still think, even without Derrick Henry, I think the Titans are a quality opponent. We've got the Titans, and if I'm not mistaken, we got the 49ers, who Kyle Shanahan, say whatever you want to say about that team. He's had McVay's number the past 2 seasons in a row. We've got those back-to-back before we get to the bye. Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot about what this team is and how far they can go. They should handle those teams. They should win. I'm not saying they should beat them whoop their ass like they did the Texans. But if they can win those games, I think, all right, now we really need to seriously be considering Super Bowl championship for this team, but it's important for them not to read their own press clippings. It's important for them not to buy into their own hype and really just take it one game at a time. I want a championship, like we talked about earlier. We're wasting Aaron Donald prime years. We're wasting Jalen Ramsey prime years. But ultimately, as a fan that's been, and Doug, you would know something about it. You've come from a desolate franchise. This is some of the best Rams football that I've had the pleasure of watching. Mm-hmm. Because this team since 2017 has been a product that I can be proud of. Yeah. And yes, I'm going to be pissed if we don't win the Super Bowl, especially because it's in SoFi. I want it bad. But I can't really say that what we're doing isn't working. Yes, we're not getting the result that we want because everybody wants a championship, but what we're doing is working. We're putting a winning product on the field and a competitive product year after year in spite of what everybody else says. I don't think there's too many people that can want for much more. And I know plenty of fan bases out there that would kill to be in the Rams position today.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, king crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy, throw it down, yeah, I'm ill, not my will, don't cop a fill the house, listen to the roaring crowd, drop a light, calm it down, Heisman, all the haters mouth, superhero hit them, wow, packing more action than bing, boom, bam, pow, touchdown for the win, we live, subscribe right now.